another wonderful Amici music program here at St. Giles. We are so thankful to Reverend Walton and Stuart and everybody here for helping make this our real home here in Asheville. We've been here almost every month lately, and we hope to continue in 2024. I'll let you know about some upcoming programs at the beginning of the second half. But this is a very fun four-hand holiday program. You might have seen it before, but it works every time. And it's such a wonderful amount of music and arrangements of tunes that are done in a really wonderful way by several different arrangers. And then we finish with a really virtuoso version of the Nutcracker Suite, which hopefully you can all see the TV, because it's a complete choreography ballet for the fingers as we're playing in between each other's fingers for much of that. On the piano with me, a wonderful colleague who's come over from Baltimore, Mr. Daniel Lau. You can read about him in the back. Dan and I went to Peabody together to get our masters and doctorates many years ago. He has stayed in Baltimore, is now the chair of the music department at Washington Adventist University, and it's been wonderful to reconnect and play these concerts with him. Both of us have seniors in high school, daughters who are in the whole college search and stressed out, so it's nice to get away from that and have a little time here at Asheville. So we're going to begin with a set of pieces about the holiday. I think you'll recognize all of these pieces. The first is Sleigh Ride, written by the wonderful light orchestral composer Leroy Anderson. He was born in 1908. He went to Harvard University and got his PhD in German and Scandinavian languages. He actually spoke 11 languages fluently, and during World War II, he was stationed in Iceland as a translator. While he was there, he actually composed his first orchestral work. You might remember it was called The Syncopated Clock from 1945. It was a pretty big hit. He followed that up a few years later with Blue Tango, which became the first instrumental recording to ever sell over 1 million copies. A very popular piece. Sleigh Ride he actually wrote during a long heat wave in the summer of 1948. He was dreaming about snow and wrote this wonderful work. It was then premiered by the Boston Pops and Arthur Fiedler, who was a big supporter of Leroy Anderson. The biographer of Leroy Anderson, his name is Steve Metcalf, wrote in his book, "Sleigh Ride perhaps has been performed and recorded by a wider array of musical artists than any other piece in the history of Western music." He then has about 3 pages of all the various performers and artists who have done this. They include the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, the Three Tenors, the Spice Girls, Bela Fleck, and my favorite, the Muppets did a real good version of Sleigh Ride. We then move to probably the most famous and the best known of all of the holiday song, White Christmas, written by the great Irving Berlin, one of our finest songwriters who wrote over 1,000 songs and lived to be 100 years old while doing it. He actually wrote this piece also in kind of a hot place in La Quinta, California in 1941. Irving Berlin, even though he wrote so many songs, actually did not know how to write or read music. He had the songs in his head, but he had to have other people get the songs out of his head onto paper. So he would sometimes in the middle of the night have these great ideas for songs. And apparently this one came to him during the middle of the night while he was staying somewhere. He ran up to his secretary's room and apparently said to him, "Grab your pen and take down this song. I just wrote the best song I've ever written. Heck, I think I just wrote the best song that anybody's ever written." And he was not far from the truth. This premiered with Bing Crosby debuting it on Christmas Day 1941, which was sort of right after Pearl Harbor, and it's become really part of our American fabric. Now, of course, one of the fascinating things, Irving Berlin was a Jewish composer, and there were many Jewish composers who wrote a lot of Christmas songs. And in fact, Irving Berlin also wrote Easter Parade. There's a wonderful quote by Philip Roth, the Jewish writer. He said, Berlin's Easter Parade and White Christmas, it's Jewish genius on a par with the 10 Commandments. God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, and then he gave to Irving Berlin Easter Parade and White Christmas, the 2 holidays that celebrate the divinity of Christ. And what does he do? Easter he turns into a fashion show, and Christmas into a holiday about snow. He turns their religion into schlock. but nicely, so nicely that the Goyim don't even know what hit them. They love it. And it's such a beautiful song. We have a great arrangement of it. Really just puts you in that holiday mood. And we will finish with Jingle Bells, which was actually written in 1850 by a guy named James Lord Pierpont in Medford, Massachusetts, at the Simpson Tavern. Now, Medford was the home of sleigh races that used to happen every week during the winters there. This guy sort of loved writing about these races, wrote this great song. The other interesting fact about Jingle Bells, it was the first song ever broadcast from space. In December of 1965, Gemini 6 astronauts Tom Stafford and Wally Schirra sent this report to Mission Control. We have an object. It looks like a satellite going from north to south, probably in polar orbit. I see a command module and 8 smaller modules in front. The pilot of the command module is wearing a red suit. They then took out their harmonica and sleigh bells and sang Jingle Bells for all to hear. So we'll enjoy these first 3 songs.